seconds left.
Minister, this budget is cowardly, it's indefensible, in particular the cuts in social welfare. You are targeting with those cuts the most vulnerable in our society. So much for the pre-election promises and so much for the programme for government promises. By design, you have set out to target children and their parents on whom they depend. By design, you have set out to target the disabled again this year. Only a month ago, you were out campaigning on children's rights, promising the earth, moon and the stars. But we can see today the colour of your commitment to children. The numbers of children at risk of poverty and the numbers experiencing acute deprivation will rise as a consequence of this budget. Basics such as food, clothing and shelter will become unaffordable for hundreds and thousands of families. Without hesitation, I want to condemn the cuts to child benefit, the back-to-school allowance, respite care grant and the maternity benefit in particular. Think of those again, Minister. The cuts to child benefit, the back-to-school allowance, the respite care grant and the maternity benefit in particular, but many others included. Yesterday, the Labour Party and the Fine Gael government dipped their hands into the pockets of families and ripped out tenors for each child that family had. In the case of a family of four, €58 of child benefit a month, €696 a year, dipped out of their pockets by the Minister of Social Protection. The parents of twins and triplets would struggle in particular, having been targeted already by this government last year. And if that wasn't low enough, you have now decided to tax the unborn. The decision to start taxing maternity benefit could see some mothers losing over €1,300 at a very expensive time of year, or a time in their lives. And also, if it wasn't already bad enough for the mothers and their young children, you once again targeted them by cutting the back-to-school allowance by €50. This is an annual payment, Minister, to assist the country's poorest children and their families while they're returning to school each September. The government already cut this payment by approximately €50 last year. So that's €100 cut over two budgets, two Labour Party and Fine Gael budgets. And this is supposed to be a fairness agenda. So much for fairness. But fear not, struggling families. Minister Burton and her colleagues have included some measures to compensate for those cuts. Compensate, I ask you. Minister Howland is all over the place, claiming that there's a suite of 14 measures to tackle wealth. But there's also a suite of measures announced by him yesterday, which is putting more people into poverty, targeting the low-paid and the vulnerable, and digging greater into their pockets. And in fact, Minister Howland's wealth suite also, in fact, targets the poor and the low-paid in our society. The vast majority of families, Minister Joan Burton has a further solution to them. It's taken right out of the hands of Mary Harney's book. Remember Mary Harney of the PDs? She said, shop around. That's the answer that now the Minister of Social Protection has to parents who she's after slashing the back-to-school clothing allowance from. Shop around. But I turn around now to one of the meanest cuts of all. The annual respite care grant for children and others with severe disabilities is cut by €325. This cut comes at a time when respite services are being steadily cut back across the country due to this government's imposed cuts in recent years to the health service and their funding. And we only need to think of home help in this instance. This money, the respite care grant, is invaluable for the financial and indeed the mental well-being of family carers. The Taoiseach referred to the recipient of this grant this morning as the caring profession. That's a joke. The state has never fully recognise either the cost of disability, let alone the value of caring. Using a phrase that incites the rage of many carers that I have met, Minister Burton, she has said regularly, she's referred to them as unsung heroes. They don't want the ministers patronising praise. They want this cut to be reversed. They want this government to cut them a break. Turning to other measures on social welfare included in this budget, the job seekers benefit. When people are at their lowest, having just lost a job, what's the response of this government? The Labour Party, supposedly representing the working class, and at least that lie is in tatter, that the Labour Party represents the working class. What do? What's their response to job seekers and who've just been laid off? It's to walk all over them, kick them when they're down. You're proposing to cut the job seekers' benefit. The proposal is to shorten the entitlements by 3 months, amounting to
1 minute left.
Amounting to a 25% and 33% respectively. You are taking their insurance repayments off them because job seekers' benefit is a payment due to them from their PRSI contributions over years. Claimants have been paying their premiums while in work, and they're entitled to expect that it be paid out to them in the event, God forbid, they lose a job. And so many people have lost a job since 2007. 300,000 people have lost a job. The total unemployed in this country has in fact fallen in the last 3 months alone by 5,800. Minister, in this budget, you've done nothing to live up to your promise not to cut social welfare core rates. Your changes to job seekers' benefit prove this if proof were needed, just as workers and trade unionists, ourselves and even in the Labour Party all agree that the allowances in the public sector are part of core pay. The allowances in social welfare, those secondary benefits, are just as much core social welfare payments as core pay for the public sector. Have you no shame in trying to represent this manifestly unfair budget as fair? Shame on you.